Okay, welcome to the fifth session of our Storm and Sail game, titled Waves on the Endless Ocean. Surprisingly, at the end of our last session, the crew who had been pursued by the cursed pirate Rot-eyed Jack and his allies were able to force a standoff against him after Pierre defeated one of his crew in one-on-one combat. And they were able to forge an agreement whereby Rot-eyed Jack would help them get to La Fortuna. They would free him of his curse, and then potentially he would sign on to help with ridding the church of the troublesome aspects that have currently menaced them, including the Inquisition, the Popehood, and the candidacy for it being up for debate at the moment. So I'm going to ask each of the players to introduce their characters. We will start off with Lloyd.
Hi everyone, I'll be playing Nathaniel Duva-Costa de Volia, who is a Marmon academic on high seas. He is a traveling bishop at the moment in conflict with his own people, trying to find his son Gregory, who may be in La Fortuna at the moment.
Thank you very much. And now we will go on to Matthew.
Howdy ho, Matthew here, aka Regular Dragonborn on the YouTubes, currently playing Roland Howe, the captain of the High Wind, who is a washed-up windcaller child prodigy, who right now is in the stickiest situation he's been in a long time, surrounded by deadly, crazy pirates, a crew that needs a payday, and a priest that's becoming a Grand Admiral, it would seem.
Splendid. Last but by no means least, we move on to Rob.
Who is least? No, I'm just kidding. I'm Rob. I'm playing Pierre Dortin. He is a former noble of Lorefort, fencing expert, and now a bit of a hedonist, caught up in circumstances that are more serious than he'd rather they were.
Okay, thank you very much. So we pick up where we left off a last session, if I can get my words out, with the pirate ships of Rot-eyed Jack and the Driftwood Twins falling in formation behind your own ship, the High Wind. The compass that was created by Daedalus is pointing southwards towards the horizon. The sun hangs in the sky and there is a clear blue ocean stretching seemingly endlessly for miles in front of you. We pick things up as this tentative alliance begins to slowly follow the directions of the compass. So I'm just going to ask generally now, guys. I'm going to have you guys sort of come together in the captain's cabin so you have a bit of an opportunity to discuss the previous events that occurred. Now, Captain Howe, as the captain of the High Wind, do you extend an invitation to this meeting to your newfound allies, previously enemies, or do you keep it just to those you know and trust on board your own ship?
Just to the core crew of my own ship, I think. Okay,
not a problem. So you all gather round in the captain's cabin around this huge table that you've set up with all of your maps and charts on it. Captain Howe, the compass is placed on the table, this finger bone that forms the arrow of the compass pointing unerringly southwards. Daedalus is stood next to it, his hands sort of gripping the edge of the table. Everyone in the room turns their eyes to look at you, Captain Howe.
Well, gentlemen, it would seem we are bound for Della Fortuna. Hopefully we're going to find Nathaniel's son and make it out the next few days alive when we get there.
And a generous payday for the crew, eh? This has certainly been a trying several weeks.
Absolutely.
The rumors of Della Fortuna, a city of gold and all that.
Although I'm not sure our benefactors instructed us to help Rot-eyed Jack. This is, I suppose, a way of dealing with him.
I am going there for my own purposes, and I can speak that the purposes of most of the crew are to get a payday. I say this looking directly at Nathaniel.
I'm sure
by the way,
and things there we need to find to make sure everyone's happy.
Yes, things that make the trip worthwhile. How many days until we reach this island, assuming no other tragedies befall us?
I look at Daedalus. Confirmation he's the only one that's been there.
As you look at Daedalus, you notice he looks a little bit pale and he looks very tired, like as though all of his many years are sort of showing on his face. And he says, "It's difficult to explain and to give you a precise time. You'll understand when we get there. But first, we have to follow the compass and sail to the world's edge ocean. It's a strange place." I don't know how best to describe it. I've only been there once, and I would that I'd never even heard the name Della Fortuna, if I'm honest with you, Captain.
Perhaps you could take a guess, an estimate. Are we talking about a matter of days or weeks?
He looks at you and says, "Well, put it this way, Quartermaster. If I were you, I would suggest making sure that your supplies are very well stocked before we set sail to La Fortuna. Islands are few and far between on the journey there."
Yes, they are well stocked at the moment, but is this to be a journey of many months?
Let me just say to you, Pierre, that the sun does not rise and set in the world's edge ocean as it does here or on the other many seas of the world. It's a strange place where the days are difficult to measure and they seem to stretch out almost endlessly.
Second, it is difficult to get a straight answer from you, monsieur. Okay, let me ask this. How long until we reach this ocean, then?
If we follow the compass and we sail towards the horizon, by the time the sun sets, we will have reached the world's edge ocean.
Bien. I should make a few last-minute preparations, and if there is nothing else, Captain.
Just one thing, Pierre. Keep an eye out for Jack bringing any of that silver aboard. He may say that he's our current ally, but I don't trust him.
Yeah, I have a few sets of eyes on him already, yeah?
Mm-hmm. We should assume that we're going to be betrayed at some point.
Perhaps. If what he seeks is what's on Della Fortuna more than what we have here, then perhaps it would be to his benefit not to betray us before then, eh? But yes. So I'm going to say that I have a couple of crew keeping an eye, like keeping him in sight at all times. Somebody always knows where he is and what he's up to, kind of thing.
Not a problem.
If he gets out of hand, if he does something untoward, word will get to me. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the ship and I'm going to inform some of the crewmen that aren't on duty right now to fish heavily while they can to bolster our supplies for before we enter this weird sea. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, as you're leaving the captain's cabin, Pierre, you open the door, and as you open the door, you see a figure wearing all white clothing and a black skull-faced mask standing on the other side of the door. A gloved hand is held up as though he was just about to knock on the door to the captain's cabin when you opened it.
Do I recognize this figure or his garb?
Okay. Make me a scribe roll.
Sure. Not bad. 2. Fair.
Okay, you think this is one of the infamous Driftwood twins. You're not sure which one.
Driftwood twins. Are they members of Jack's crew?
They are the captains of the 2 ships that were backing up Rot-Eyed Jack, the ones who destroyed the Inquisition vessels, and have now fallen in with yourselves.
Okay, so I step out, I see this guy, and I immediately draw my sword into the on guard position. State your business, monsieur, and make it something I will not be angry with.
He holds up a gloved hand. You can't see an ounce of bare flesh below his long duster coat and the mask that he wears over his face, and he says, "Monsieur, I'm simply here to deliver a message to your captain. There is no need for hostilities between us."
And this message is?
Myself and my brother, we simply wish to cement our new alliance by giving your captain a gift.
Yes, we have seen the cost of such gifts from you and your kind, eh? Enslavement of the mind.
Mon ami, there is no cost for this gift.
Oh, no, that is how you sell them, eh? It is free money. Yes, money that comes with a much greater cost later. I do not think the captain is interested in your gift, eh?
Perhaps the captain should be the judge of that.
Very well. I open the door. I'm keeping my sword at the ready. So I step in. I'm brandishing my sword, so the rest of the people know there's something serious going on. Captain, these Ounds says they have a gift for you. I look at Nathaniel and Tasbia, he's there, and we know the cost that gifts of wrought-eyed Jack bring with them. Eh? Keep this in mind, Captain, before you accept such gifts.
As Pierre says that, Captain, how this single figure wearing this long white coat and a white tricorn hat and wearing a black skull-faced mask that covers his entire face steps into the room. He takes off his hat, bows, and then he says, "Good day to you, Captain Howe. I trust this day finds you well."
Not as bad as it could have been. You have business with me?
Well, not business as such. I simply wished, as a sign of our esteem and our friendship, given that we did save you from the terrible rigors of those Inquisition vessels, I simply wish to offer you a gift. As a sign of goodwill, you understand.
Beware, Capitan.
What kind of gift?
I would like to invite you to a small entertainment that we are holding on my ship, the Silver Serpent. Of course, as many of your crew as you need to accompany you to make you feel secure, they are more than welcome. Are we not allies now?
It would seem so. When would you want me to come to your ship?
At your we will await your earliest convenience, Captain Howe. We simply, let us say that when we dispatch these Inquisition dogs that were sent to hunt us down, we captured some of their goods as is our right, and we wish to gift some of them to yourself as a sign of the good faith.
Pierre snorts.
I will think on this. I am, of course, a rather busy man at the moment, as plotting our course.
Oh, of course, I understand. Building these fleets is not a simple matter, Captain. I understand.
These waters are treacherous, and few have travelled them.
So. Oh, indeed, of course, but that is what makes it all the more interesting, no?
Absolutely. Thank you for coming to deliver this message yourself.
Of course, since we are allies, I thought it would be rude of me to send a subordinate to deliver my message. I wish to come directly, both so that I could see who we were now allied with, and so that you could see who you were now allied with. Is good, yes? I will return to my ship, Captain, and we will await your arrival with great interest.
As he goes to leave, I block his path just momentarily. You should travel with care, monsieur. As the captain has said, these waters are very treacherous, and one can easily have accidents, eh?
Indeed, but what would I have to fear on a ship that is protected by the 3 times winner of the lawful fencing nationals?
Perhaps it is best, then, that I escort you off this vessel.
If that is your wish.
Yeah, we...
Bon.
Leave,
And he allows himself to be escorted off the ship.
Yeah, I do so in a hurried fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Scowling at him the whole time. And then I will go around and spread the word about fishing heavily, at least until we reach these weird seas.
Not a problem. The crew start putting their lines over the side and start their fishing.
The minute they leave, I'm going to turn back to Roland and be like, Roland, we have to go on that boat.
You're right. And you're coming with me.
Damn right I am. I mean, wait, what? I'm sorry. Really?
Yes.
I thought I had to convince you, give you some kind of long speech or something important, like how I my knowledge and ideas of how these twins might be able to cooperate. You're actually just going to take me with you?
You have a knack, Nathaniel, of getting people on your side. It's been noted.
I assure you, if I had that knack, I'd be using it on Pierre every step of the way.
Pierre, he's better with women more so than men, from what I
don't
can tell.
remind me.
Hey, I have more on this crew pretty good.
There is a problem, though. If a captain, I mean, he did come onto the ship himself to invite you personally.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's inviting you back onto his ship, I may not be the best at pirate parley, but it sounds like he wants to see what your metal is. There could be some kind of weird test.
I assume it is. But also, you managed to make this deal. So perhaps you can sound out if these Driftwood twins are more amenable to joining us if Ragtag turns on us.
I can see what I can do. No guarantees.
If they're religious men, they surely won't turn on a bishop, right?
And I think you and I both know that there's not that many religious members in these waters. Although there really should be. The lords do not take kindly to those non-beliefs.
It's true. How did you convince them to join us?
Metal, guts, guile. And I told him that I'd give him the sanction of the church if we won.
I thought you were too old for this pirating lark.
I am. I'm skipping ahead to the part where I win.
We're not there yet, Nathaniel. We're not there yet.
In time, I figure it out, I hope.
Pierre is right, though. I should be aware of their gifts. You did not get a sense of anything supernatural about them, did you?
Well, that's the problem,
Hell,
really.
yeah.
I'm not sure if there is something supernatural about them, but 2 ships taking out 3 Inquisitor ships, 1 being piloted by Castell himself? That's not right. No idea how they could pull that off. Even if they aren't magical, they must have some good navigators on their side.
I've heard of the Driftwood twins. They are ruthless. But
Well, let's go see just how ruthless they can be.
let's see what else side.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask Pierre, as you're escorting this guy off the ship, can you please make me a scribe roll?
I can try with my mighty skill of 1. 1.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that with your average roll, as you're escorting this guy off the ship, which he makes no trouble, he quite happily leaves and heads onto his own ship. As he's walking, something about the way he's resting his hand on his cutlass that's at his side, something about the way he moves seems a little bit familiar to you, but you can't quite place it.
Looking at this cutlass, is it like a well-made one, like a one that more than that, like the average person wouldn't have?
as you look at it,
I mean, I know good swords.
You can
Go ahead.
see from certain sort of subtle marks on it that most people would miss, but being very intimately acquainted with swords as you are, and having spent many hours practicing with them, you can quite clearly see that his blade is of law-fought make, and it's extremely finely crafted.
I will make a mental note for now, and perhaps look up or contemplate weapons makers I know back in Lower Fort who might have made that.
Okay, not a problem.
After they leave, I would like to try to create an advantage with the crew. I don't know what weirdness we're headed for, other than we're going to get some weird sailing forever kind of weirdness, where the time seems interminable and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do what I can to prepare the crew for this strangeness, and I'm going to sell it as, if we persevere and get to our destination, there'll be a big fat payoff.
Okay,
so
that's absolutely fine. Make me an officer roll.
Okay, so yep. Right. I just had to look at my stunt. I had a stunt for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 5.
Okay, so I'm going to say with
great.
that,
I got a great.
Okay, so effectively with that, you're getting the crew to be like ready for anything, and I'm going to give you a free invoke of that advantage.
Yeah, something I'm going to pull out if they start getting panicky or antsy or talk mutiny.
That's absolutely fine. So after you've seen this person off your ship, you gather the sort of crew together, who are sort of the linchpin members of the crew, and you warn them that you're heading into this potentially dangerous area. If they sort of stick to their tasks and they heave to and they do what they're told, there'll be this massive fat payout at the end when you get to La Fortuna. You see their eyes sort of lighting up as they all start imagining these riches that they're going to find at La Fortuna. And as they move back to their post, this is sort of spread throughout the various ranks of the crew, and they heave to their jobs with a new determination. Okay, so those back in the captain's cabin, what are you guys up to? Nathaniel and How, you've just had your conversation saying you need to get aboard that ship.
Roland will be like picking out one of his nicer jackets as if he's going to like a formal dinner. Checking his guns though and making sure they're loaded and ready.
Not a
I'm
problem.
going to go get my blue gun, my blue robe, blue guns. I'm going to get my blue robes, which technically are my guns, I suppose, in a way. Check on the comatose Inquisitor.
Okay, he seems to still be in a coma. He's in a stable condition, but he doesn't look like he's recovering anytime soon. You see the sawbones down there, and he's like, I'm doing the best I can for him, Bishop, but like I said, unless we get him somewhere where he can get proper medical treatment, there's not a lot more I can do with him other than keep him like this. I've managed to get him to keep a bit of soup down, but
it's fine. Thank you.
And he shrugs.
Just
Not a problem, Bishop. We'll do. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. Well, after the captain, obviously, and a quartermaster.
And then I'll go see Daedalus. Make sure he's all right.
Okay. Daedalus has retired to his quarters after the conversation in the captain's cabin. As you walk in, you see he's looking at a small sort of picture in like a little gilt frame. That he's got his back to the door. He doesn't seem to hear you enter. The small oval-shaped portrait appears to be a painting, a portrait of a young man smiling. There's a certain resemblance between the young man in the painting and Daedalus is sort of looking at it with a sad, wistful expression on his face.
All right, so I'm going to give him some time, and then I'm going to be like, Daedalus?
He smiles, puts the pic, like quite sadly, puts the picture down next to him on his bed, turns to look up at you. Again, he looks very tired and very old as he looks at you. He tries to force a smile, but like I say, it's tinged with sadness. And he says, is there something I can do for you, Bishop?
Yes. Do you still have that half bottle of rum that the quartermaster gave us last time we were here?
he reaches down under his bed and he takes out this bottle of rum. He's obviously drank some more in the meantime. There's like about 3 swallows maybe left in it. And he says, I'm afraid I've almost finished it, but you're welcome to what's left if you like, Bishop.
You're more than welcome. How about we take a seat, we share a drink, and we just talk for a bit?
Okay, not a problem. Are you discussing anything in particular, or is it just general chit-chat?
Yes, I'm going to generally get him to chit-chat slowly. Then I'm going to bring my son into it. I'm going to try and get him to talk about the picture that I just saw. Just like general conversation, talk about how, because I've got quite a bit of time before the most of the party is. I'm just going to try and get some more information out of Daedalus about this.
Okay, make me an officer roll.
Okay. So first up, that was a +1, but I'll spend a fate point because blood is thicker than water for me, and I really want to know what's up with this.
Okay, not a problem. So with that, Roddy, he generally responds well. After all, you've had a few drinks together, you've got to know each other a bit on the voyage, and eventually you manage to bring the sort of conversation round to the picture. He holds it up and sort of shows it to you, and he says, yes, this is a picture of my son.
Oh. He seems very strong. Good
Yes,
teeth.
he was.
Oh. Sorry.
No, it's quite all right. It was a long time ago. Did you say that your own son is in La Fortuna? Bishop?
Adopted son. Yes, I believe he went out to seek his own in a crazy adventure, and it's most likely he's headed to La Fortuna to go find his fortune. Hence the reason why this whole entire thing is happening in the first place.
Then I wish I had some comfort to offer you, Bishop, but I lost my own son as a result of my own quest for La Fortuna.
May I ask what happened?
I'd rather not talk about the details. As I say, it was a long time ago. It took me a long time to come to terms with his loss. I built a small statue to him on the island where I live, and every evening I'd put some flowers there and try and remember him. But as the years pass, it becomes harder and harder to recall his laugh, his smile, how alive he was the last few times I saw him.
You know, thoughts like that make me think back to my own son, Gregory. He's a bit of a wild child. Adopted and left off my step. Never had a child before. Didn't know what I was doing. Had him in my arms. Next thing I know, I'm technically a father. Afterwards, I adopted a daughter to go along with him. I thought maybe having a sister would help him mature better, but all it did was just make him a bit more wilder. She's currently getting married to my son-in-law, who is a lot more of a handful than I thought he'd be. But
Daedalus smiles at you and he says, yes, well, children do have their wildness about them, but then we were all young once. I'm sure, like myself, you got up to some wild antics back in your youth, Bishop.
Actually, no. I've always been like this. The church has been my life all the time, and the time I should have spent raising my son, I spent behind a book trying to get promoted up to the rank of bishop. And it's taken me this long to get this far.
Then let me give you some advice, Nathaniel. If you do manage to find your son, Gregory, then you should treasure the time that you have with him. You shouldn't waste any of it. Books will still be there in the future when your child has grown and gone his separate ways, but the moments you have with your child, you will never get back again. There are times now when I wished I could have even five minutes, even at a single minute, with my son to tell him some of the things I'd wanted to tell him when he was alive. But I always thought I'd have the time to do it later. And by the time that's slipped away, all that you're left with is regrets, pictures, and memories.
Well, then let's take it like this. When I find my son, he will never leave my side again. But I still have a duty to these robes and to the church I've left back home to put in its rightful place. I just hope I don't have to choose.
Daedalus has been swigging the rum while you've been talking, and his voice is like slurring a bit, whether through emotion or the rum, you're not quite sure. But he says, "Tell me then, Bishop. We're both men of learning. Hypothetically speaking, if you did have to make the choice between your son, who is a life that came from yourself, or the church, which has been your life for so many years, what would you choose?"
Honestly, I'd find another way. If my life came down to the point where I need to choose those two, then I've already failed. I couldn't possibly make that decision right now. He's my son, but the church is my life. I don't know. I'd have to find another way to get around it.
Then I don't envy you the choices that you may have to make in the future, my friend. But we all face such difficult choices in our lives, and it's only when we look back on them that we can see whether we made the right or the wrong choices, or even if there was a right choice to make in the first place.
Well, let's hope with the wonderful, exciting skills of the crew that we're on board that I never have to make that decision.
He leans closer to you and then says, "Tell me, how have your researches regarding La Fortuna been progressing?"
Nothing. How can a place exist so far away with so many rumors and nothing substantial with it? You are the only person who has any information whatsoever based on La Fortuna. I have nothing, no amount of law, rumors, hearsay, anything. Nothing makes sense. I have spent a day and a half just prowling through these books for the stupid La Fortuna place, and I just cannot. I'm just too old for this.
Perhaps I can. I must get some rest soon, my friend. We'll all need our strength for the trials that are ahead. But perhaps I can at least help you out with your problem. And he heads over to the small chest in the corner of his room, opens it up, and he takes out what appears to be a roll of parchment bound up with a single ribbon. He walks over to you and says, "This is one of the old legends about La Fortuna, one of the original documents I procured when I was making my own search for it. It's couched in legend and allegory, as these things often are, but perhaps it'll be some help to you." And he sort of presses his scroll into your hands. But I must get some rest now, so if you'll forgive me, Bishop. I'm not as young as I used to be.
You're preaching to the choir, literally, this time. I get up and I give him a nod, and I leave the rest of the alcohol on the table, and then I head out. Have a good night.
And you, Bishop, and you. And as you leave his room, you shut the door. You hear a few moments later, like the sound of soft snoring in the room beyond.
I'll check out the scroll as I head in, but that's for later.
Okay, not a problem. So, does anyone have anything to do that you wish to do before this meeting on board this vessel?
Yes. I don't have nearly as many books as Nathaniel does, but I do have some books. I'm fairly well read compared to the average person. So I imagine a lot of the books I would have to do with, hobbies that I like, or maybe he's even got some sort of trashy body romance novel, stuff like that.
Okay.
So I want to look through some of the books I have on fencing, maybe previous champions, famous duelists, sword makers of Lorefort, and I'm going to try and think of where I know this cutlass from.
Okay, so since this, I'm going to say that for this, since it focuses on combat, you can use either your marine or your scholar scores to roll this.
Okay. So you want me to make some kind of like lore roll? Is that right?
Effectively, yeah. Like I say, you can use marine or scholar. It's your choice.
Okay. So I'll spend a fate point if I have to. So if 3 works, that's fine. If not, I'll spend a fate point.
Yep, 3 works. Okay,
Okay.
as you're looking through your books on fencing styles, you don't really find anything that's particularly applicable. However, as you're going through your keepsakes, sort of precious things to you, your written materials, etc., you come across your certificate from one of the previous fencing nationals that you won in Lawful, and listed on it, so it's listed like the competitors in sort of order they finished. And as you're sort of looking down it, obviously yourself at the top, you see that in second and third place is a person called, in second place is a person called William de Montpellier, and in the third place is a person called Isaac de Montpellier. And as you sort of think back to your sort of final fight against this William de Montpellier, you obviously defeating him in the finals for the fencing nationals, you remember the sort of like distinctive walk that de Montpellier had and the way he sort of held his sword. And it's very similar to the way you saw the Driftwood captain walking.
Okay. So I'm going to try and remember those battles. And the way I see like advanced fencing is that there's all these styles of forms of attack, defense, much like in chess, where there's a whole bunch of, named
Different
after the people who
maneuvers.
invented them. Right. So I'm going to remember back to the fights I had with them and think of the styles they used, and then apply my knowledge to know what the best defense is for those styles, so that should a time come where I have to face them, I'll be prepared. You know what I mean? I'll have an advantage.
Okay. As I won't make you make a roll for that, that can be included in your initial roll. As you're thinking back to these bouts, because obviously you did a lot of sort of analysing them at the time and sort of working out how to beat your opponents, you remember that the Montpellier brothers were followers of what's called the Sommelier School of Fencing. It's a school of fencing that focuses on sort of misdirection and luring your opponent to outstretch themselves before you go in for the kill, so to speak.
Sorry, just writing it down. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay. So excellent. So I close the book and I'm thinking about this, and a smile starts to curl at the corners of my mouth.
Indeed, it does. Okay, so Pierre's doing that. Do any of the Captain Howe or Nathaniel have anything you wish to do before this meeting? How about yourself, El Capitano?
El Capitano will get some of his own private alcohol stock to take over as a gift, as it were. Make sure he comes well armed, looks decent. He'll go onto the deck for a bit and assess the way that the ships are positioned in his fleet. Like the Driftwood's got 2 ships to the name.
Indeed, there are 2 ships. One of them is flying on its sails has a golden dragon on it. The other has what appears to be some sort of like silver serpent on the sails. And both of their 2 ships are behind Rot-Eye Jack's ship, the Venom, which is itself following along behind your ship.
Just trying to see, are they in the are they following in a casual manner, or are they sort of, if they were going to attack, would this be a good way of doing it? If you,
well, they appear to be matching your speed,
right? Okay.
But they're not sort of making any threatening moves. They are just sort of following you in formation.
Good.
One thing does strike you as odd, though, Captain Howe, as you're considering this, given that their ships are sort of behind Rot-Eye Jack's ship, which is behind your ship. How the hell did he get onto your ship in the first place?
That is an excellent point.
You don't remember any of your crews going, "Oh, someone's coming over in a boat."
So when they left, he didn't use a boat.
Not as far as you're aware.
If I ask the crew. I'm going to ask Pierre as well to look after the ship if he's not coming. If he is coming, to pick out someone he trusts to keep an eye on the deck and keep everyone a guard.
Oh yeah, are we like having a rest before we go over, John? Are we spending a night before we go over, or I'm not
It's
not sure how the day's progressing here.
It's entirely down to you. They said they would wait on your earliest convenience.
Okay. So, you tell me then, Captain.
How long are you waiting, Captain, before you head to their ship?
Are we doing it this day, or are we waiting a day? That's all I want to know.
I'd give it a few hours, and then I would head over.
Okay, so before we head over, then I want to have a little chat with you. So, I'm going to tell him about that I've learned the identity of these two captains, how they are from my country. They were former expert fencers who I beat, and I know how they fight, and if it comes down to it, I'll have an advantage. Now, I'm going to totally leave it up to your to his discretion. Captain, it is up to you if you wish to reveal to them the fact that you know their identity. That is a card you can play whenever you see fit. But they wear the masks. They are clearly interested in hiding this identity. So we have an advantage on them, eh?
Let's keep that advantage for the moment.
Oui, it is your card to play.
If it came down to it, which of the two is the more dangerous swordsman? Pierre.
That would be William. He was slightly the better fighter than his brother.
Then I guess you'd want the honor of taking him down if it comes to it.
Oui. I have beaten him before, and I pat my rapier. I can do so again. I have studied their moves. I will go in prepared.
I heard a rumor that you were teaching the good bishop to fight with a blade as well. Is this true?
That is perhaps an overstatement of the ask. It is more like I am teaching him how not to kill himself with a blade, or maybe fend off an attack or two for a moment.
How long would he last against these men if it came down to a fight?
Well, his time has gone up from perhaps 2 seconds to more than that. I am not sure how much yet. But, if we have time, perhaps another 3 months, I could make him respectable.
Well, we don't know how long the journey's going to be, do we? So.
Well, I hope it is not 3 months. We do not have that kind of stores.
That makes 2 of us.
The stocks are full, but the ship of this size cannot carry 3 months' worth.
The crew will get restless eventually, especially in the company we have at the moment.
Restless I can deal with. It is starvation and thirst I cannot solve.
Would you say these 2 men are reasonable?
I would say they are deceptive. They are sneaky. They like to pretend they mean one thing when they mean another. To throw the scent off, as it were. Be careful when you're dealing with them. Do not trust that what they say is really their goal. Huh?
I find it hard to trust anyone these days, but yeah, apart from yourself, I'm glad you're aboard.
It has been interesting. Huh?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
So, does Bishop Nathaniel wish to do anything else before?
Nope, I am perfectly fine with heading on over and seeing what's up. Let's go aboard the Driftwood twin ship. Oh, yeah.
Okay, splendid. So a few hours have passed. You make your way towards the Driftwood Twins vessel. It is the Silver Serpent that you're actually meeting on. As you head aboard, you can see that Rot-eyed Jack is stood on the deck. He nods at you all as you come aboard. There's the usual collection of scruffy-looking sailors doing various tasks around the ship to keep it functioning. And as you look across the deck, you can see these 2 figures of the Driftwood Twins, one clad in all white wearing a black skull mask, and the other clad all in black wearing a white skull mask. As you walk on board, the the white-clad gentleman who previously came aboard your vessel walks towards you. Again, he takes his hat off and bows low and says, "Ah, Captain Howe, it is good to see that you have finally come aboard our ship to join us."
Thank you for your invitation. I brought a few of my crew with me. I hope you'll greet them warmly.
You are most welcome. As I said, we are now allies. May I present to you Captain Howe, my younger brother? And he gestures at the figure clad all in black, who again takes off his hat and nods, and in a very similar voice says, "It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance."
Likewise. This is a fine ship, also a ships you've got here. Well maintained.
"Well, I try my best," says the figure clad all in white, "but good help is so hard to find these days. Do you not agree, Captain Howe?"
Especially out here in this part of the world, yes.
"Indeed, but you travel aboard a ship that does not have simply the mere crewmen that we are forced to deal with. No, but you have world-class fencing experts and even a high-fare bishop aboard your ship. Strange company you keep."
Very fortunate company.
"Indeed it is. But as I say, not the normal, what you would expect to find aboard a vessel of your type. I mean, no insult, Bazis."
None taken. We had a, shall we say, a very specific task that required a lot of different skills.
"Oh, of course. You take the help where you can get it, and you need people to fulfill certain tasks. That is the way of the world, no?"
Indeed. And it's always good to have the church on side.
"Well, it is a pleasure to have you as our distinguished guest here aboard the Silver Serpent, and also our ally, Captain Jacques over there." At which point Rotar Jack just nods. He's standing there with his arms folded, not really saying much. He says, "But now, anyway, enough of this chit-chat. Is there anything we can get either you or your companions to make your stay aboard our vessel more pleasurable? Perhaps a drink, some food?"
Perhaps you could get to the point of why we are here.
"Ah, but of course."
Actually, I wouldn't mind a drink. I'm kind of thirsty. If that's
I
okay.
stare at him like, "Are you mad?"
And I look at him like, "I'm thirsty. We're on board. It's safe. I'm sure it's fine."
I reach in my pocket
okay,
and I offer him a flask. "Perhaps it would be better for you to drink from this, a liquid that you can be sure of its source and purity."
I'm about to accept his glass, and I stop, and I look over the twins, and I push it back, and I go, "I'm certain if the twins wish to do anything to us, they would have done so beforehand. I will gladly accept refreshments from the people who've welcomed us on their ship."
Oh no, wouldn't
In
want to
peace.
offend the evil bastard pirates. Oh no.
You notice the two Driftwood twins are stood there sort of watching this all. It's very difficult to see their expression behind these skull masks. But for a few moments as they sort of lower their head, it's almost as though their skull masks are sort of grinning as this display takes place in front of them. The figure in black says, "We will arrange for a drink for the bishop. Bishop, your friend's caution is quite appropriate. After all, were we not enemies but a short time ago before this alliance? I cannot entirely understand his caution, but be assured you are our guest here aboard the Silver Serpent. We have no interest in harming you. If we had, there are ways that we could do so that would not involve inviting you aboard our vessel."
Oh, on the contrary, I wasn't accepting it because I trust you. I'm accepting it because if you dared to try to poison one of us, you would break the agreement we have. And then would have a reason to fight. And then things would be much quicker.
"You are a very wise man, Bishop. But enough of this posturing." He turns to one of the crew members and says, "Bring out one of the barrels of rum and make it available for the bishop and the captain and the rest of his acquaintances." At which point the sailor nods, heads below deck, comes out with a barrel of rum and some sort of wooden cups. He puts it down, takes the cork off it, pours out some of this rum into one of these wooden cups, passes it over to you, Bishop, and then sets it down. The black-clad driftwood twin says, "Please feel free to help yourself to all of this. We will make some bread, cheese, food, whatever you wish. We do have a fine selection of cheeses on board."
I do apologize, twins. Of course, you've not told me your names. As such, I can't address you as anything other than just the Driftwood Twins. But
That is fine.
it is customary in my area to share a drink. Will you not share a drink with me now? After all, there is no point in parleying if we cannot drink together.
If that is your wish, and he holds his hand out towards you, towards this wooden cup that you've been given.
Mm-hmm.
The white-clad member of the Driftwood Twins takes the cup off you, takes like a big glug out of it, then goes, and passes it back.
Does he take off his mask to do that?
Nope.
Wait, how did he drink?
Effectively, there's a slit to where their mouth is.
Son of a bitch. All right, carry on.
He lifts it up, takes a sip, goes, and passes it back to you. It is a fine rum. It is brewed on one of the islands and locally from the sugars that you get here. It is not to everyone's taste, but I have grown accustomed to it.
I'll pour a bit. Take it. Take a sip. Try not to choke. Ah, I see what you mean. And I'll put it back down.
It is good, yes.
It certainly hit a spot.
Good. But as I say, enough of this. We invited you aboard so that we might make an offering of some of the spoils that we had taken from the Inquisition ships that we did use the favor of dispatching, yes?
I look at the captain.
Sorry, Jen, I didn't quite catch that last bit. What was it?
He's basically saying they invited you over to share some of the spoils from the Inquisition ships that they helpfully dispatched.
Ah, yes. What did you find?
Oh, perhaps it is no fun simply to tell you, Captain. Why tell when you can show? You understand? At which point he turns to one of the other sailors and he says, "Please, Francois, go and get the gift we have for our honoured guest." At which point the sailor who's with him sort of gives like a fairly sort of evil sounding chuckle. He's like, and he heads below deck. It will be but a few moments for us to fetch our gift for you. As you wait there for a few minutes, a few more drinks, etc., and the sailor returns. As he returns, he's quite rightly, as you have surmised, leading a rather beaten and battered figure who has sort of like manacles around his wrists and is being led by a rope threaded through the manacles. He's wearing almost nothing but like a filthy, torn pair of like breeches, and you recognize, despite the obviously like vicious beating that he's been given fairly recently by the livid bruises on his body, you recognize Castell of the Inquisition. And he looks as though he's like really badly injured. He's like limping slightly, and he's pretty much like led up onto the deck by this sailor who loops the rope around a metal loop that's fastened into the deck. At which point one of the Driftwood Twins, the black-clad member of their brotherhood, turns towards you and says, "Captain, how's this pig here, this Inquisition pig, was the captain of the main flagship of their, what I might loosely call, fleet that was pursuing you. We captured him when we destroyed his vessel, and we thought, rather than dispatch him in our customary manner, in the spirit of our new alliance, we would put his fate in your hands. We thought it would be a good gift to cement our new friendship, no?"
It is a very interesting gift. Did not expect to see this man again.
This is the guy who was on board that was going to arrest the captain?
No, this is the guy you met previously who had a mad-on for killing Rot-Eyed Jack, and who appeared in the Inquisition ships and was then like dealt with by the Driftwood Twins.
Right. Okay.
But he was the one
I
that
remember
Nathaniel
that.
recognized.
Yeah. Then Nathaniel, he knew that this guy had a hard on for ragtag. Right.
Yep. You know, just like Brother Castell, sort of like looking around, one of his eyes is like swelled up, livid and purple. He's obviously been given like a wickedly vicious beating. You can see like whip marks on his body, etc.
Nathaniel, is this not the person who was about to arrest the captain?
I believe it was. This will be Brother Castell. Brother Castell, can you hear me?
You notice he appears to be like barely conscious, in a bit of a daze. Perhaps he has a concussion or something. He's looking around sort of through his one good eye, but he doesn't really seem to know where he is.
He seems quite dazed, Captain. I say, looking at Roland. I don't say anything else.
He looks half dead to me.
Yes. Do not forget the fate he had in mind for you, Captain.
I have not.
As you're saying this, Rot-eyed Jack looks over at you and he says, given that this man was attempting to kill myself, I appreciate that his fate is not in my hands, but if he is already nearly dead, Captain Howe, I would suggest that you finish the job and we can be about more important business.
Captain? Roland?
Surely you do not hesitate to kill a single man who has opposed you, Captain Howe?
Well, it's not that.
He was not willing to show you mercy. He
Roland,
was willing to take you in and lock you up.
Roland, I fully accept whatever decision you make. However, please be advised that the decision you make at this point will affect you. May not be now, but it will affect you. Please remember that. I say quietly and calmly. I'm not going to force myself on the issue, but he knows where I stand.
One of the Driftwood twins says, both of your companions make a good point. This man was not willing to show you mercy. Why should you show him any more? But your bishop friend is true. We are all created as a result of our own actions and our own inactions.
Ask yourselves this question, Captain. If you take this man aboard your own ship, when he recovers, what will he try to do to you? Probably is the same thing he tried to do the first time.
And take this upon our board. If we have Brother Castell on board our ship, we may possibly have a straight eye into the actual Inquisition. We would know far more than we would if we simply just captured some old, simple, everyday walking about person and asked them questions. This is Brother Castell we're talking about.
And you think you could convince this Brother Castile to give you this information you seek?
By the time I'm done at La Fortuna, I'll be able to convince the devil to set himself on fire.
As you say that, Rot-eyed Jack is just like,
you've convinced me. Well, I'll just shrug and look at the captain. It is up to you, Captain.
Entirely up to you, Captain. Entirely up to you.
If you bring him on board, I think you will understand if we keep him secure in a room of his own, eh?
I think it's perfectly fine. Give him good treatment. I mean, with Brother Castile, I fully accept the sell.
This seems like a ridiculous decision to us, if you do not mind us saying, Captain Howe. You are suggesting that you will use your limited supplies to keep alive this man who has wished you nothing but harm. But as we have said, his fate is our gift to you as part of our new friendship, so you may do with him as you wish.
Fortunately, the captain does not rely on your counsel to make his decisions, but rather the counsel of his own crew, eh?
Pierre, have you ever been a noble?
Oui.
At which point, yeah, what as you answer that, one of the Driftwood
I thought there was some pretty good posturing there.
One of the Driftwood twins says, but of course he is a noble. Can you not tell by his stance?
I stop and I look over and I actually, for the first time since traveling with Pierre, actually stop and turn towards him and raise my eyebrow and go, huh,
He does have grace and that kind of live movement.
huh. You know, I don't think I ever did pay attention to that. Irregardless, Captain, your decision is yours. I will not force the issue like I always do. You're welcome to come to the decision yourself. I'm going to simply stand here and fume.
Of course, Captain Howe, if you wish this man dispatched, but you shirk from the act itself, we can do this for you. But as I say, his fate is in your hands. It is our gift to you.
Silence! See, it is clear, Captain. They are trying to get you to commit an act of evil. I think this will somehow bring you under their sway. While I do not think this man is deserving of such mercy, I would do it just to spite them and to prevent whatever consequences might befall you should you take this act. We will keep him secure on board. No, I want them to hear.
No, I said that in character.
I thank you both for your counsel. I'm going to take him back to the ship, not for mercy, but for my own reasons. He said he would take me prisoner, and I'm just going to return the favor for now.
I nod. I nod looking at the twins.
This seems like folly, if you do not mind me saying so, Captain. You are simply giving him an opportunity to escape and cause more harm.
Well, like you said, I have an incredible crew, an impressive ship. What is the point of having such if you don't put them to the test?
Indeed.
Indeed, it is telling when the members of your crew always seem quick to jump to the most destructive solution. Eh?
You may or may not be aware of this, although I'm sure I've told it you on at least one prior occasion, Quartermaster, but we are pirates.
He's got a point.
Yes, but he is not the typical pirate. Eh? Typical pirates gives the people opportunities to surrender, leaves them with the food and waters that they may live to find shore. Not these pirates. They are cutthroats, killing everyone. How many people have you let go? Huh? How many people have you let live that you lost nothing to do so? No. We are not the same, monsieur. Not at all.
You are entirely right, Quartermaster. I do not generally allow my enemies to live, and that is why I'm one of the most feared pirates on these seas.
And yet our ship defeated your crew, huh?
Everyone gets lucky now and again, Quartermaster.
I'll just grin. I played these mind games before in the arena.
Still, the decision is yours, Captain. His life is not mine to take or to give. And for reasons best known to them, the Driftwood twins have gifted him to you. I will not
The
stand
captain
in your
has
way.
made his decision. I'm going to go over and I'm going to cut the rope, the bindings at his feet.
Yeah, not a problem.
Maybe I'll help him stand.
He pretty much like collapses into your arms. He's obviously been like confined, like I say, badly beaten. He's got very little strength about him.
So we probably have a couple of crewmen with us that we took with us. I'm thinking maybe a couple of my better trainees, and since I've been starting my fencing lessons, they're with us. I'm going to have them help carry him, you know.
Yep, not a problem. They pick him up and they
get him
carry
back
him
on our
back
long
onto the
boat.
vessel. Well, as one of the crews carried him away, he says, Quartermaster, do you want us to get the sawbones to have a look at him when we get him on board?
Yes, please.
And make sure he is not carrying a coin. If he is, throw it overboard immediately.
Right, you are, Quartermaster. Come on, you are the Quartermaster. Let's get him on board. And they sort of shuffle off with him.
Captain, is it alright if I go back and show that he's fine?
I would prefer it if you remained until we leave, but if you are compelled to do so, Nathaniel, you have my leave.
Perhaps it would not be necessary. Is this everything you have brought us here for?
Well, this was the main part of our evening, to give you this gift, but you are welcome to stay and enjoy our food, our drinks, and to to talk with us if you have anything you wish to talk about, or to mix with our crew. After all, we are all friends and allies now, are we not?
Captain, I suggest our business here is concluded, eh?
Captain, actually, I'd like to stay a bit longer. I say, looking directly at Pierre.
Nathaniel, you just said you wanted to leave.
Yes, that was then. If the quartermaster is going back, then there's no need for me to go back and ensure he's all right. The quartermaster will take care of him, so I can stay.
No, I'm not going to take care of him. No. No, I'm staying if the captain's staying, but I'm not trying to get the captain out. I'm not keeping the captain here any longer than we have to. We're at risk here.
Perhaps, Mesame, you need a little time to decide on what you wish to do. Please take all the time you wish.
Yes, we have. You brought us here for a reason. The reason is concluded. We are not friends, mes amis. We are allies temporarily under circumstances. We are not friends.
You wound me to the quick, quartermaster. And we invited you over here in a gesture of friendship and hope that this alliance of convenience would blossom into something greater.
Oh, c'est vrai?
Oui, c'est vrai.
Why is it you wear the masks?
Captain, please let me go.
We wear these masks quartermaster, so that when we took up this life, those that were close to us in our previous lives would not be harmed by our actions, and no one would seek to get at them in order to get at us.
You ask us to be allies with people who will not even reveal who they are. Eh? No, monsieur. I do not wish to be your friend now or ever.
Oh, that is sad.
I spit on the deck.
Let us hope, Captain Howe, that you are a little more open-minded to and less willing to slap the hand of friendship away than your
open-minded to becoming friends with master murderers, eh? People that do not know the meaning of mercy.
Oh, we know the meaning of the word mercy. It means thank you.
Interesting interpretation.
One I'm happy to take as long as we can stop arguing. Captain, could you please make a decision really quickly before Pierre gets so killed?
I'm happy to stay for a while if you wish, Nathaniel. But no more so than an hour. We have plenty of things to attend to.
1 hour is all I ask. I would just simply like to know what kind of vessel was able to take down 3 Inquisitor ships by themselves. Whatever you people did, it must have been amazing.
John, can I ask a quick question?
Indeed.
If I'm on this ship, am I able to tell if it's similar in design to the one we're on, if it's a wind caller ship?
You've not seen any signs of it being specifically a wind caller vessel.
Okay.
However, since you are all on board, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It is a small bark which probably has about a crew of about 130. It'll certainly have some cannons on board, although it's not as large a ship as the War Galleon, the Golden Dragon. It's sort of sibling ship, which is obviously built for war. This is a smaller, sort of quicker vessel.
Didn't we also establish that our ship is kind of unique?
Yes.
But I just assumed, I thought that if there's a wind calling ship, there could be a fire calling ship and such.
It's not a ship that's specifically built to utilize a wind caller's unique talents like yours is. However, that's not to say that it might not just be a normal ship that has wind callers on board.
Right.
Your ship, as you say, is very rare, if not unique. It's built to enable you to channel your wind calling in very sort of specific ways beneficial to the ship. Whereas most ships that have wind callers on board, they're normal ships, but they've got wind callers to like fill the sails and stuff like that if they have wind callers.
Okay.
As you say, you're going to stay for an hour. The Driftwood twins are like, oh, excellent. Please And they have their crew start breaking out more kegs of rum, food, bread, cheese. Quite a large selection of cheeses now. You come to look at it.
Perhaps a tour of the ship would be nice. It's a fine vessel you have.
May we, if you wish to take a tour of the ship, we can. I can quite happily show you my lovely vessel, says the one dressed all in white.
A white twin. I'll gladly come along if you wish, Captain Howe. I'd like to see more of the ship.
Oh, I'm not letting the captain out of my sight. That one's on board the ship.
Okay, they escort you around the ship. It's a fairly normal sort of vessel, like I say, quite small. A few cannons on board, but it's obviously built for speed rather than out-and-out attack. However, as you're led below deck and you're being escorted around, they sort of show you various crewmen doing the stuff you'd expect to see normal crewmen doing on board a ship. However, as you are led past a particular sort of section of the quarters, the captain, the driftwood twin clad all in white, knocks, whose name I will tell you just to make it more convenient, is Isaac. He knocks on the door and says, Captain, may I present to you the Silver Serpent's secret weapon, as you may wish to see it. And he opens the crew quarters, and inside you see what appeared to be 4 shaven-headed men. They all appear to be sat down cross-legged in these large quarters, sort of meditating or something similar. And as you look at them, you can actually see that there's like small pebbles sort of moving around their heads in the air.
Oh my.
Are these wind callers?
May we, but of course.
Where did you find them? I thought the Inquisition had been rounding up different types of callers for years.
Well, you are entirely correct, Captain Z. The Inquisition has been ruthlessly persecuting the people who, through no fault of their own, have this natural talent. But as merciful men of the seas, we give them a position of great respect aboard our ship. We simply ask them to use their talents for the benefit of our ship. In return, we give them the protection, and they are valued members of our crew. Why would we see them simply killed because they have this talent? We are not the cruel iron hand of the church's Inquisition. Despite what you're... Oh, please go ahead, my friend.
I am sure they also get a generous share of the menace acquired from the many people you have murdered.
Maybe, but of course, as I'm sure as you're aware, Quartermaster, our own person who fills that position ensures that they receive a share. They actually receive more of his shares than the standard crew, since their talents are greater.
While we're taking a tour, I'm going to use the knowledge. I mean, he's giving us a tour of pretty much the whole ship. I'm going to look for structural weaknesses, areas to attack, that I'm going to pass on to the cannon master when we get back. If we ever come into a ship-to-ship battle with this, I want to know its weak spots and its strong spots.
Okay, basically the best way to take out this ship would be to take out the sails, because with them having wind callers and having like 3 sails, the ship is obviously built for speed. Once you nullify that, that's its main advantage gone. Okay, they continue escorting you around the ship, and eventually they lead you back on the deck. And Isaac, the man clad... Sorry, go ahead, Nathaniel.
While we're doing that, this is a unique ship, right? So nothing fresh or anything. It's completely straight.
That's correct.
Excellent. In that case, can I tell places they didn't take us that might be of importance? If this is a ship that a normal everyday ship, then I must know what the ship's internals are. So can I work out hidden places inside the ship?
Okay, you think the only place they haven't taken you is the captain's cabin and the crow's nest, pretty much.
Oh wow, they took us everywhere. Jesus.
Yeah, you see, okay. Isaac, the driftwood twin clad all in white, seems quite happy to escort you around his ship. If you have any questions you want to ask him about specifics of the ship, feel free. He'll quite happily answer those.
I will actually. I'll like all the way to be talking to him about mostly about the battle they had with the Inquisitors. Like, how could 2 ships beat 3? so well in a point where there's almost no damage whatsoever in the structural?
He says, yes, I see why you would ask me this question, Bishop. The Inquisition is a powerful force, make no mistake, but it is, forgive me for saying so, I mean no offense, but it is, how you say, clumsily wielded. That is why I compared it to the gauntleted fist. If you are in front of it when it strikes forward, then it is bad times for you. However, in our vessel, due to our specialized crew, we were easily able to outmaneuver them. And whilst they were attempting to deal with us, our twin vessel, William's vessel, the Golden Dragon, the more, how you say, the stronger of our vessels, was able to incapacitate them.
Out of curiosity, how many times have you fought in Roscoe Inquisition ships?
Oh, the Inquisition, it believes it has the right to police these waves as though anyone could put a leash around the sea and bend it to their will.
Yes, your opinion is well known, but answer his question. How many of the Inquisition members have you murdered?
Oh, half a dozen ships worth, no more.
That's still a lot.
Several hundred. How you say it, Nathaniel? As we're walking around, I'm going to take I want to do this on the down low. I take a silver coin from my pouch, and I'm going to just find like 2 slats of wood or some place where I can kind of jam it in there. You know, maybe near the captain's quarters, that's possible. Just kind of.
Okay, since you're trying to do this on the down low, can you please make me a pirate roll?
Can
sure.
I assist, even though, I mean, he probably isn't informing me, but if I spot that he's doing something weird, I'll try and distract them by talking to them more about the ship.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll have you roll to create an advantage first. So if you make an officer roll, Nathaniel. Okay, yeah, so you will be getting +2 to your roll, Pierre, your pirate roll.
Excellent. That's good because I only had a 1 in it. 3, good.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. You easily find a place where you can surreptitiously slip the silver coin between a couple of the planks.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Tabisa might be able to do something with this. I don't know, but
Next session.
Let's write that down. Okay, eventually the tour leads you back up onto the deck of the Silver Serpent.
Thank you
A
very
fine
much.
ship.
In fact,
you
I
are.
saw more of the ship than I thought I was going to see.
As I have said to you, and thank you very much for your kind words, Captain Howe, says Isaac, we are allies. We hope perhaps something more in the future. Your ship and your crew seem admirable. It is nothing to us to show you around our ship. After all, are we not going to be relying on each other soon on this great quest of ours to La Fortuna, the city of gold at the world's end?
A grand adventure that people will talk about for years to come, assuming any of us make it back.
I'm
Indeed.
hoping to make it back.
Indeed, I'm sure it will be a tale to stir the blood and excite people in many a drinking establishment in the New World, perhaps even in the Old.
As we're disembarking, I'm going to stop by the first barrel they brought out, and go, I think I will have a drink. And then I'm going to reach in my pocket, pull out my own flask, drink from it, put it back, and then walk off.
Okay. So what's the plan, guys?
I set fire to the ship.
I go, Captain, is it all right if we give them an invitation to our ship once? I mean, after all, if they've given us a tour, we could do the same.
Pourquoi? Why? No, Captain, this is a terrible idea. At the very least, perhaps one we should discuss in private, huh?
Captain, it's up to you, but I think it's only fair.
Fair?
As you're saying,
what motive do we
saying
have
that,
to be fair?
Pierre, if you start yelling one more time, so carry on.
As you're saying that, Pierre's like waving his arms about. What Isaac's dressed in all white, leans closer to you, Bishop Nathaniel, and says, I think perhaps you are the more trusting out of yourself and the quartermaster, Bishop.
It's not that I'm trusting, I'm just courteous. Also, you've done us a service. The least we can do is to pay you.
Just
May we?
insane and no sense of who is evil and threats to the ship.
Perhaps in time, Nathaniel, but right now I think the gift of a golden city is far compensating for our lack of trust right now.
It appears as though Captain Jacques has returned to his own vessel. I do not see him here about. At which point, William, the Driftwood twin, dressed all in black, who's been sort of stood on the deck while you're having your tour, nods at his sibling. You are, of course, welcome to stay here as long as you wish, or I see the sun is setting. I'm sure you will have business you wish to attend to, and I would not wish to sully your quartermaster with the odious nature of our acquaintance any longer than is comfortable.
Pray we, Sortie, tell me, how was it you got aboard our ship?
He smiles, and you actually see like his skull mask sort of like crease up a bit in a smile.
Freaky.
Now, quartermaster, surely you don't expect me to give all of my secrets over to someone who has admitted openly that he considers us little more than the alliance of convenience? No?
All your secrets? Oh, no, you have given up none of the secrets, huh? Like the real reason.
That is why they are called secrets, my friend.
Yes. Well, perhaps if I am fortunate in the future, I will never set foot aboard this ship again.
I, on the other hand, would gladly take a second invitation to come back on board your ship. I would very much like to discuss more about your naval tactics if I had a chance.
And you would be most welcome, Bishop.
Well, shall we schedule a time, perhaps maybe 2 days from now?
As you wish, at which point William, the one dressed all in black, says, perhaps you would welcome an opportunity to come aboard my own vessel, Bishop.
I'll be most glad to. I'd like to see how you two compare, and if you're twins in both structure and in person.
Bon, we will arrange your times and have your people talk to my people, and we will sort it out.
Let's do that.
Roland will shake their hands as we leave. We'll get on a rowboat. He'll sit back, and as we're rowing back to the ship, I think they mean to kill us, Pierre.
Maybe. However, Pierre, you were fantastic. Thank you very much.
Monsieur, you are fou?
I think the word you're looking for is expendable. If there's anyone on the ship who is the most likely to be taken out without causing too much of a problem, it's me. I am the best person to speak to them. And at the moment, I am the most likely person to speak to them because you will not have a single minute with them without insulting them. Which means that it makes it much easier for me to make negotiations and do the deal that Roland asked me to do. So in a way, this does help. We just need to take our time and go through it. So thank you, Pierre, for that. I'm sorry if it came wrong with you, and I know it's hard for you to break past that stubborn wall that you call yourself when you are being belittled and challenged. But perhaps one day, when you find a way to break through that and see the beautiful core you have beneath, you will find time to perhaps maybe be able to speak to people in a manner that's not insulting.
Monsieur, these are not people. These are the scum of the pond you are talking about. These are the mass murderers, and yet you would give them the same politeness, the same civility you would give anyone else. Why is this?
Well, I point to Roland and go, my church has taught me to believe that all wind callers are absolute scum who are stealing things from the Stormlord.
And do you believe they are?
Well, no, because I gave one a chance.
Bon.
So
and what
if I'm
about
going to
people
give-
who are mass murderers over and over and over? People who kill without the remorse, without the mercy.
Do
How do
you
you feel
know
about
Theon
them?
Greywater fought in the 4 wars? Old sailing master.
Yes,
Huge
there is a
stories about them.
difference with fighting in the wars versus merely coming upon the helpless ship, murdering its people, and taking its stores, over
How
and
many
over and
pirate
over.
people have we worked with? Costello was not known
No,
to be a
no,
perfectly
monsieur.
innocent person
Fine.
either.
If you tell me is that you are perfectly fine with dealing, you have no issues or problems of morale
What
with dealing
is
with
your
the people who have
problem
killed.
with the 2 twins? I don't understand what your issue is. Is it because they're from
No,
Lawford? Are you feeling
I
challenged?
am trying to explain this to you.
And I think
You
I've
are
heard enough.
dealing with the people who are mass murderers, and you have no problems with this. Yet you call yourself a man of the morals.
Okay, guys, as this is taking place, you've sort of got back to the ship and you're carrying on this heated debate as you get back on the ship. Captain Howe sort of like obviously watching these two like go at it again. As you walk back on the ship, you see a couple of the crew are like helping you aboard. They look at them two arguing. You hear one of them go, "Oh, them two are at it again."
I think Pierre has a point, Nathaniel. They wear their honor like their identity as a mask.
That is true, but if we're going
Just
to be
because they
sailing
have
with them,
this
we
ability
have to
does
at
not mean
least
they
be
are gentlemen.
courteous.
Exactly.
The more
Yes,
we
but
get people on our
you-
side, the less chance they have of stabbing us in the back. This is fairly simple diplomacy.
These men are known for stabbing people in the back. That is a thing they excel at, and you would invite them aboard our ship.
The
Listen,
least we
if
can
you
do
wish to
is
take the
be
chance,
courteous and
no.
straight.
No, monsieur. If you wish to take the chance, you may put yourself aboard their vessel, but you will not endanger me or the rest of the crew without our say-so because you feel a need to be courteous.
It's why I asked the question to Roland, who is the captain, and not you, which you seem to be forgetting.
No, monsieur. You invited him before you asked the captain.
I definitely told the captain it would be nice to invite them over. Those were my words. Do not put words in my mouth, Pierre. I
invited them first.
Don't think I won't take you down right here. You might be a swordman, but I assure you I am quite old and I have been around the block.
I immediately whip out my sword. I offer him the blade, and I'll take the scabbard.
I'm like, all right, let's do it. Give me the sword. Give me the sword. I am going to show you right now that you, actually, this is kind of heavy.
Monsieur, I think you are on a path of folly. You do not agree with me, that's fine. But I ask you not to endanger me or the others.
And I ask you not to constantly go over words that I say all the time. At least give me my chance to work my things. I am courteous enough to listen to you talk.
That affect us
Why
all
do you not listen to me?
us all.
Oh.
Okay, as this is going on, Captain, you can see the crew, a small amount of crew have sort of like tried very surreptitiously to like sidle over and like listen to this argument going on. You actually see like a few of them sort of like passing coins between themselves.
I give one of them a signal. 2 on Pierre.
You see, he nods at you and he winks.
Yeah.
The crew is kind of on my side too, so I got that.
I have you know, I'm going to go take care of Castell now and show that he's all right, and then we're going to hopefully find some way to talk him over, and then we're going to figure out what's happening afterwards. Can we at least have some peace and quiet till then?
Nathaniel, your own family is on board this ship. Would you put them at danger?
No, I wouldn't put them on danger. That's why I asked you first.
Just to extend courteous.
However, we are still traveling with these people who could turn on us at any time. The least we can do is to be nice.
Let me explain something to you, Nathaniel, by pirates. When they extend courtesy, it is courtesy with teeth. They are seeing what kind of crew we are. They want to see how best it is to take us apart piece by piece. You inviting them over to make it easier for them is not really helping. Pierre is looking after the crew, which is his job.
I fully understand.
The whole time he's talking, I'm behind him going, yep.
I understand, and we're fully with you. And I know this whole pirate thing is new to me, and I'm trying my best. But the least I can do is at least be courteous and at least give the offer out, even if it is rejected.
The reason you went over there is because they have already checked our ship out. I'm pretty sure they have been on our ship already and examined it. So the least we could do is get a look at theirs.
Which we did. So everybody's happy.
But it serves no purpose having them aboard our ship.
No, which is fair. As always, Roland, you speak truth without yelling words like a stubborn North Lawford noble. Thank you.
I'll take that as a compliment, Nathaniel.
You're welcome.
But if you seriously think you're going to beat Pierre in a fight, you need
Maybe
more
not
than
by
words.
swords, but next time I pick one up, I assure you Pierre is going down. I may be behind a cannon when that happens. I'm going downstairs.
Okay, and Pierre watches as Nathaniel walks off and heads down the stairs.
I stare after him, thinking he's us all. I am going to go down, seek out Tabisa, and I want to ask him about this coin I've planted on board. You know, what the possibilities are he could do something with that.
Okay,
If the need
Tasby
arises.
says that Tasby says it would be difficult to do a sort of what he does on it unless he had something to link him to the coin.
Right, I was thinking maybe he could, like, you know, use it even as a listening device or something. I don't know how this magic works. So.
He says perhaps if you had some other coins that were either made in the same place or that have been kept with that coin for a long time, he might be able to forge a link between the two of them, but he's going to have to like look into it. He basically says, if you've got that and you can give me that, he says, I'm probably going to have to stay in my room and research this and find out what I can do with it, but I'll let you know as soon as I've got anything.
Yeah, I'll toss him my pouch, the coins.
He grabs it and he starts getting all of his clutter out and sort of like a few of his books that he's got dealing with the subject, and he starts sitting down and looking over at it all. And he says, so almost absent-minded, he sort of like waves at you as he's pouring over all this stuff and says, yes, I'll let you know as soon as I've got anything, Quartermaster. Thank you.
Merci, merci. I'm going to give the one quick tour of the ship, make sure everything's cool, all the crew has what they need, and then head to my cabin.
Okay, so those two have left. Captain Howe, what are you doing?
I'm going to make sure that the my new prisoner has been given a quarters, probably as far away from the other Inquisitor as possible.
Separate them.
Getting the collection going.
Well, you don't need to worry about the other Inquisitor since he's in a coma, but yeah, I can understand you wanting to keep them separate. That's absolutely fine. And so what I'll say is both yourself and Nathaniel, because Nathaniel's going to where he is anyway. So the two of you both head below deck. You can see your doctor is just coming out of the quarters. He stood outside the door. He looks at the two of you as you approach, and he says, well, I've given him a look over, Captain. He looks like he's had a fairly bad beating. Nothing that shouldn't heal with time, although looks like he's had a few broken bones that ain't set right. I don't think he's going to be fighting any wars anytime soon, put it that way.
Give him a half ration. Leech him if you feel if it's needed. But make sure don't let him out of your sight.
Right you are, Captain. Right you are. I'll go
Captain,
and see.
may I ask, he's bounded in chains?
His hands will be bound, but not his feet. The chains. Why?
Because
He
Stell
can
has
eat.
been known for being difficult in cases where he's had freedom. I prefer to take no chances. If Castell gets free on the ship, we would have a problem. However, I do want to make sure he's taken care of and well fed. Or at least his wounds are healed. Enough so he can speak.
Okay, so you're telling me that he's perhaps the most dangerous thing we've got on this ship, and that I should be nice to him.
Yes. Because he's not going to tell us anything if he's not well enough to tell us. A man who works by faith alone is a man who will not reveal what he's to be told for a very long time. Not unless you find a way to break it.
a faith untested is not a strong faith at all.
And Inquisitors know how to test faith. It's their job. They love that.
Well, you seem to be personal friends with him. Maybe you can convince him.
I'll give it my best.
It would be appreciated. There is something you could do for me, actually, Nathaniel.
Anything?
If you do speak to this man, if you can get him to speak, try and roll, and he looks around at this point, make sure no one else is like kind of around. There's a rumor that they take young stormcallers somewhere until they're ready to be trained now. That wasn't the practice when I was a boy, but things have changed, as you can see. If you can find out where they are, where they take them, I would consider that a personal favor.
Captain, what you're asking me to tell you may not be as nice as you'd like me. May not be what you want to hear.
Oh?
I know what happens to young callers when they're taken. It's not a pretty sight. Perhaps this is a, what's the term he would use for it? This is an avenue that you shouldn't be crossing.
Do they do that to all callers? Because how did they fill their ranks?
Perhaps I can find out. Only if you're sure.
It would be appreciated.
John Locko, the doctor who's been stood there, he holds out a small pouch, leather pouch to you, Nathaniel, and he says, "Well, he's asleep now." He says, "But if you wave some of these smelling herbs under his nose, it should wake him up long enough to at least talk to you. I bound up his wounds as best I could."
Thank you. Let's not waste time.
Well,
I'm gonna go over there.
I'll leave you to it then, Bishop. I'm going to go and sort out them rations that the captain wants me to give him.
Thank you.
And he heads off. You walk into the small chamber where you see Brother Father Castell of the Inquisition. He's bound as previously described. You see there's bandages around him, binding up the worst of his wounds. There's still numerous scratches and bruises all over his body. Like I say, he's clad in little more than a pair of torn breeches.
I'm going to take a seat next to him, and I'm going to wave the thing underneath his nose.
You wave under his nose, and after a few moments, he sort of starts and opens his one good eye, and he sort of stares around, and he's like, "Who's there? Who is it?"
It is I, Father Nathaniel.
Bishop, is that you?
Yep. The one and only. How are you doing?
I've had better days, Bishop.
I can respect that. Things didn't turn out very well on your side. I do apologize. It seems the Driscoll twins are a little bit more than you could handle, which was actually quite surprising.
Indeed, we were caught unawares by their treachery. I was not aware that they had several apostates on board, that they turned the winds against us and were able to outmaneuver us.
Oh, why did you not call for one of your void callers? You know, those young people whom you severed from the Lord. Maybe they could have helped.
We did not have a limitless supply of them. Most of our more specialized people have been recalled to the Holy City.
Is that in preparation for the new Inquisitor taking the place of Pope?
It is to support the rightful Pope in his position, yes.
Interesting. Well, that means that at the moment, the seas are free of Inquisition problems, right?
It means that our presence is less on these seas than it once was. Yes.
Well then, if you could kindly tell me where they keep all the young callers that you take, I would mostly appreciate it.
I cannot reveal that information to you, I'm afraid, Bishop. You are not a member of the Inquisition.
Oh, I wasn't asking you. I'm telling you to reveal that to me.
I would expect you to know, Bishop, that I took an oath not to reveal the secrets of the Inquisition to anyone who was not a member.
See, I can respect that. And I also took a very strong oath when I became a bishop. I took the oath to uphold the Lord's treatings and treaties and treat the people as they should be treated, and also to serve the Lord in every way. So I'm sure you are not surprised when I find out that the way you create your void callers is that you sever them from the Lord that I worship, that we all worship, in aid of moving forward and finding apostates.
It is an unfortunate but necessary action.
On the contrary, I'd like to thank you and the entire Inquisition. You've taught me something very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very profound. One should not stop at anything to get what they want, even if it requires them to break the faith that they believe in. Right?
We do what is necessary to secure the health of the church. It is not always pleasant, but it is necessary.
I'm going to lean back. I'm just fold my arms. I'm going to say, do you know what Norfolk leeches are?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you, Bishop. Do I know what is?
Norfolk leeches are funny little leeches found on one of the southern islands on the side. What they do is that they burrow through your ear, work their way into your brain, and then slowly and surely they corrupt everything you have and that makes you as a person. They slowly drive you mad until the point where you can no longer be yourself and you become nothing but a gibbering, horrible, nasty wreck.
I have not heard of such things, Bishop.
Oh, that's pretty good because I've put 2 of them in your ear.
Okay, at this point, can you please make me a pirate roll?
I have a talent. I have a stunt. When I use any kind of information, aka scribe information, as a turn of lying, I use my scribe, not my piracy.
Go for it then.
Unless I roll really badly, then it sucks. Okay, that's 3. I'm gonna spend a fate point on mild-mannered academic of the high seas because I just knowledge thing I should know. I know about Norfolk leeches, so I'm gonna make that a 5.
Okay, you notice he goes a little bit pale when you mention these Norfolk leeches, and a slight look of panic comes onto his face, and he says, "Why would you, a member of the faithful, do such a thing, Bishop?"
Because you see, one of your members told me quite recently that he's never seen anyone use a book to solve a problem over using a sword. I'm simply proving him wrong. It will take maybe 12 hours. You'll start to feel yourself starting to lose consciousness. Your brain will start to see things. Colors will start to dance around your eyes. Eventually, you start muttering to yourself, slowly inhibiting this sort of this drool down your throat. You start praying to the Lords to help you. You start saying their names, and then you start to reveal everything there is about you. Your truths, the lies you've told, the things you've done, the places you're on. Nothing. All I have to do is wait 12 hours. You could save me the trouble. You could just tell me now.
And if I were to tell you what you want to know, I would still be dead in an hour.
Not necessarily. Taking it out is not a problem for someone like me. After all, I fight with a book. This is natural. It's up to you, though. I'll give you 12 hours to decide. Okay. Oh, wait, that's unfair. I'll give you 5, after which it's too late.
I'm going to ask you to make another pirate, or in your case, scribe roll.
Yeah.
So an opposed roll against him.
Let's do it. Okay, Lloyd, this I believe myself. Come on, Lloyd, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Oh, come on, guys. What the fuck is this? 3.
I only got a mediocre roll, so that's fine. Okay. His face goes pale, and you see a slightly panicked expression come over his face. He grits his teeth, and almost as though he's trying to force the words out, he just says, "What is it you want to know?"
I grab a chair. I pull it forward. I sit down. I fold my legs. I take out a book. like a small little book, and I grab I signal my hand out so someone gets a like an ink box to bring in, so to put it next to me. Cross my legs, then I go, start from the top. Tell me everything you know about the Inquisition.
Okay, so just before I start doing that, I'm just going to cut across to Captain Howe, who's obviously in the room while this is going on. What do you think of all of this that's going on in front of you, Captain Howe?
The captain is sat crossed-armed in the corner, watching intently, smiling slightly as he watches Nathaniel do his work. He keeps looking at the symbol of. Does the Inquisition have like a religious symbol? Do they wear like a pendant or something, or a ring?
They don't have an obvious sort of like icon that they're displaying, no.
So you can't expect it. Okay. So, sorry, I couldn't help myself. So yeah, Roland will be watching him intently.
Okay. At which point, as Nathaniel says, "Why don't you start at the beginning?" and he gets his quill and his ink blotter ready. Brother Father Castiel says, "You don't expect me to tell you the entire history of the Inquisition in an hour. It would take far longer than that."
Oh, we have about 5 hours, so I think you're doing just fine. You can start by telling me where to keep the collars. That's a request. And then you can tell me about the church, what's called the Inquisition themselves, why this whole thing is happening, what your plans are. Nothing too crude. It's just when I go back, I'd very much like to not be surrounded by Inquisitors trying to kill me.
Those apostates we deal with, we take them to a place known as the Black Fortress. There they are. There they are put through a ceremony that prevents them from using their apostate abilities to steal power from the elemental lords. Also, those in the Inquisition who have such abilities, who willingly sacrifice their abilities so that they may deal with apostates. I've not seen the ceremony performed myself, but I know some of the details.
I'm assuming it's horrific.
It is never pleasant to have to sacrifice something of yourself for the greater good, Bishop.
Interesting. Thank you very much for that. Tell me about the Lord Father, what's called Inquisitor himself, and what he's planning to do, other than just, as I am informed, rid us of the soft arm of the church.
The High Inquisitor and many others in the hierarchy of the Inquisition believe that had the church taken a stronger stance and supported the throne of High Fae during the Armada War, then we would not have been forced to retreat and cede most of our holdings in the area to lesser nations.
Interesting. So what are you planning to do with all of us? The priests, the bishops, the archbishops, the popes?
From what I have heard, it is believed that once they see results and they realize that the new pope is unassailable, they will fall into line.
What that means is that you're planning something very big for the new pope to take charge of. Something massive, some huge world-changing event that he's going to come in and save the day in. What is it?
He pauses for a few moments and then he sighs and says, the Inquisition has been building up its fleet of ships for a number of years now, since the end of the Armada War. It is believed that once the High Inquisitor is the Pope, he will go to the leaders of the nation and will reinstate the Armada War. We will take back those territories which we were forced to secede.
You're planning on restarting the Armada War?
I tell you only what I've heard, Bishop. I'm not as high up as you believe me to be. I'm not privy to all of these decisions, but I do hear things from my brothers in the Inquisition.
It's a lot easier to win a war when you have all the Stormcallers.
That is true. Roland, anything else you'd like to find out?
How long do they keep these prisoners before they perform the ritual?
The ritual is performed as quickly as possible when they arrive in the Black Fortress. We do not wish to keep dangerous apostates for any length of time unless they use their abilities to attempt to escape the fortress.
How long do you keep them after you've cut them off from the lords?
Once we have cut them off from the lords, they are more manageable. Most of them are pressed into the service of the Inquisition and are sent back out aboard our vessels.
Can this process be reversed?
Once you have stepped on a flower, it is not possible to restore it to what it once was.
Roland puts his gun aside and he walks up to the man and punches him straight in the jaw.
His head snaps to one side.
You know, that was completely unnecessary, Roland. He was talking. I was halfway through this conversation.
Okay, at this point, Captain Howe, if I can ask you to please make me a navigator roll.
Me? Oh.
Indeed.
Oh.
Oh, can I talk to him before he leaves? Quickly?
Well, we'll soon find out after this
this,
roll's
okay.
been made.
Fair enough.
I navigated fairly.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to spend a fate point since I'm a dedicated follower of the Inquisition.
I will not spend a fate point at this juncture.
Okay, not a problem. As you sort of like punch him and your sort of flesh meets his face, from where you're sat, Nathaniel, you notice like a look of concentration across Brother Father Castell's face. And as you sort of pull your hand backwards, Captain Howe, it's water begins to sort of like gush out of your mouth and your ears. You start feeling very dehydrated and you take 2 points of stress.
Okay.
But you feel as though somehow like the water and the moisture has been like pulled out of your body and it just like splashes onto the deck, at which point Brother Father Castell like collapses back onto the bed exhausted. And so like a massive bruise already forming on his face.
No way. No. No. I said, I go up to him. I go up to Roland. I'm like, did you see that?
I wanted to know something. He speaks of someone who has seen this done to them, but he doesn't speak like one of those void callers. I wanted to know if he was a caller himself and watches it done to others.
There's no way. Brother Castell could not possibly be. There's absolutely no. Wait, even if he did see it, they'd be able to tell. I need to speak to him some more.
Being part of the church does not make you less of a hypocrite.
Yes, that is true, but you can't be an inquisitor and not being spotted, as there's no void callers on his ship. He has no one to check it. Oh my.
Brother Father Castell laughs and says, the Inquisition is well aware of what I am.
Then why do you work with them?
We bring to the Elemental Lord's justice those who steal power from the gods. I use my abilities in service of the church.
I think I'm done talking to you, brother. Let's go, Father Castell. Have a good night. Roland, come, let's go.
I'll grab my guns and leave.
I'll leave the cell door. I'll shut the cell door and I'll leave him there, and be like, we better put some more guards on him.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You can arrange to put more guards on his quarters. That's easily done.
I'm going to tell you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, after you.
I'm going to tell you something, Nathaniel. And if you tell anybody else, I'm going to kill you. Do you understand me?
I think that's perfectly fair.
Those men, and I heard a rumor that it was him himself, took my daughter as an apostate.
When?
6 months ago.
From where?
From where I was. Happily settled.
No, I mean where? Maybe they haven't got to the Black Fortress yet.
Perhaps. It was far from here.
No, this is your daughter. Nothing matters more than your daughter right now. We need to go find your daughter.
We don't know where they keep them.
We know where she's going. We just need to find the Black Fortress. And we have an item upstairs that can find anything we need to find right now.
You don't understand, Nathaniel. I've made a promise. I need to see this through.
Your daughter's left it. I'm not. Nope. I promised I wouldn't do this anymore. I'm not going to question your actions. You're welcome to it. But as soon as we find La Fortuna and I get Gregory, can we please head straight to the Black Fortress and find your daughter before they get there?
Absolutely.
In the meantime, could you tell me where you were? I might be able to make some kind of. I might be able to figure out how far she might have to get to it. If I knew where it was.
It was. Have you heard of the? I can't remember the name off the top of my head. John, what are the natives called? The Indian natives. Like the Indian themed natives.
They're mostly just called New World natives.
New World natives. I was in a New World native colony.
All right. I'm going to go upstairs. I'll be right back. I'm gonna run upstairs to the maps. I'm gonna like lay them all out onto the ground as like fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try and map around it for what's the distance between where he was and the nearest, like one of the nearest like strongholds of the Inquisition. Because I don't know where the Black Fortress is, but it'll be somewhere to keep guarded. So I want to see just how long it'll take to get from one place to the other.
You think it would have taken them about a week if they went straight there?
I can't save this girl. It's too late.
There is something that could save her.
What?
But Daedalus told me not to touch it.
What are you talking about?
The cup.
You cannot use the cup. As Daedalus just saw, it brings nothing but terror. I'm sure we can find something else in the level 2. I will make it my personal goal to find a way to bring the Void Callers back to the Lords. Don't go drinking cups that we don't understand.
How do you bring something back that cannot hear?
Even dead flowers leave seeds.
True, but they're not the original flower, are they?
It's the best analogy I could go for here. Work with me.
I took this job to get enough money so that if I could get her out of there, I would never have to work again. I could hide. But if this cup exists, and if she has been taken and done whatever they've done to her, it could heal her. You heard what Daedalus said. It could heal anything.
So you really are looking for some reason to. This is why you want to go to La Fortuna.
I didn't think it was real. I just wanted to get paid. But if it is real, then that cup is real, right?
Well, yes, but we'd have to find it. But if it works, it could work on any Void Caller.
Could save them all.
Or it could damn them all to hell.
If it was your son, would you risk it?
Yes. But it's not my son, it's your daughter.
You've seen what they're like. He condemns one person and then look at him. I knew he was a caller when I saw him. I knew it.
Do you think we should tell Pierre this? I feel like this might be important. I feel maybe we should let Pierre. I mean, I'm not saying I'm amazingly strong part of the crew, but I seem to be forced into this location. It's the least we can do is tell Pierre that we're also going to find a cup, so he doesn't think we're just going for gold.
We are going for gold.
Just going for gold.
Pierre's concerns are the crew, not my personal matters.
I respect family more than I do anything else.
I'm telling you, Nathaniel, more so that if I find out they've destroyed my daughter, I'm going to kill every single Inquisitor I find. Which might draw us opposed to each other.
And I'm trying to save every single Inquisitor I find. Well, it's a good thing I took those sword lessons from Pierre, right?
Have you even drawn the sword yet?
No.
You'll get there.
Okay, by the time this is all over with, the sun is setting low on the horizon. The crew have started changing over, so those who are sort of on deck during the night have started moving out. Most of the crew have been sort of out and about during the day, retiring to their bunks, trying to get a bit of shut-eye. Pierre, I know you've gone back to your quarters. Are you doing anything in particular, or are you just getting a bit of shut-eye yourself?
Well, I will get a bit of a nap, but I'm also, as I said, I'm going to kind of study up on the defenses that I would have to use against these guys, these brothers, should I have to fight them. But in particular, I want to be on board. Daedalus said it would be by about sunset we crossed over into this weird sea. I want to be on board for that crossing. I want to see that for myself.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. Since you're on deck, as the sun sets below the horizon, the sky goes dark as it normally does. But as you look up, Pierre, and you hear a few of the crew noticing this as well, as you look up and you see the stars twinkling in the heavens above you, you notice you don't recognize any of the sort of familiar constellations that you would normally navigate by.
So I get a puzzled look on my face. I look 3 times to make sure I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. Then I'm going to sniff at my flask. No, it hasn't gone skunky.
As you're looking around, you can see...
I'm going to maybe find one of more seniors, more experienced sailors, and what do you make of this?
The sailor looks up and he says, I don't know. It is... I have never seen the stars in these patterns before, Quartermaster. I do not understand it.
Perhaps make some notes. It could be useful at some point, I suppose.
Yes, of course. I've told the men to take regular readings using the log to chart our speed, etc., as we would do.
We were on course before we crossed into this area. Let us do what we can to continue in a straight line, despite what our senses might tell us, huh?
Very good, Quartermaster. I'll see that is passed on to the men.
I'm going to stay on board for a few hours to see if something freaky happens, if Rod Serling appears or something.
Okay. As you're stood on deck, after a few moments, you notice that like Daedalus has walked up and he's stood on the deck. You see him, he sort of looks up at the stars, as a number of the sailors are doing. Then you see he sort of shrugs a little, sighs, and he goes and stands at the edge, sort of looking out across the sea, his hands on the sort of side of the ship.
Monsieur, you have been here before. What can you offer in the way of guidance, direction? The men cannot steer by stars they are unfamiliar with.
If we keep following the compass, we will eventually find ourselves at the base of a great waterfall. The Della Fortuna lies beyond it. And he sort of, you can tell from like looking at him, he's obviously been like supping on the rum a fair bit. and he's probably actually holding onto the side of the ship to like steady himself. He says, "Did you know they used to say back in the olden days that when the people who built Della Fortuna offended the gods with the sheer opulence and decadence of their city, and the elemental gods, tired of their ways, cast the city to the farthest edge of the world so that no others might be tempted and lured away from their worship." And that's where we're now heading.
Perhaps then the gods will be pleased if we are to lessen this opulence a little, eh? I say, unconvincingly, forcing a smile.
He smiles at you a little and says, "Who knows? Stranger things have happened, Quartermaster. Stranger things have happened."
I make a point to ask Nathaniel about this, in his books and stuff like that, if he knows anything about this weirdness.
Again, in fact, as we mentioned that, I presume Nathaniel and Captain Howe are sort of heading back up on deck, having had your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
as you walk up, you can see Pierre sort of stood at the side of the deck. Daedalus is with him. You can also, as you look around, see these strange, unfamiliar constellations in the sky above you.
Huh, this is new. Wait,
This is
the
not
sky
the
shouldn't
sea
be-
I have ever sailed before or heard of this. No, it should not.
Also, like,
Have you
grabbing
ever
a scroll.
read of such phenomenon before?
I've heard of sailors being turned around and losing landmarks, but never a whole sky.
No, we are too experienced for that. This is unfamiliar to us all.
One of the
Okay.
many strange things to come.
Except for him, I pointed Daedalus.
So as you're looking at the scroll that Daedalus gave you, Nathaniel, you can see that it's an ancient legend about how the elemental gods, angered by the excess of the makers of the Golden City, they cast the city into the space between this world and the next, so that men may never be lured away from the rightful worship of them.
Oh, wonderful. I'm like, we must be existing between worlds. Where the lords have created us. Some kind
What?
of limbo sea.
What does that even mean, between two worlds?
Between the worlds of living and dead, between everything that's right and wrong, between where the stone worlds have power and where man has strength. It's in between. I can't explain it any clearer without quoting scripture.
Daedalus nods and says that the bishop is correct. There are a number of great voyages that every person takes during their life, and there is a final great voyage we take at the end of our life when we head towards whatever rewards or punishments the elemental gods have in store for us. And on that final voyage, this is the sea that we sail across.
Are you saying we're in the lands of the Storm Lords?
Not in the way you think, Captain. This is a place between the worlds. Only those who have passed on can truly journey to the rewards that the Storm Lords have in store for them. Any that we might meet here are those that are deemed not worthy of heading to the heavens of the elemental gods, but neither are they villainous enough to be condemned to the hells.
Physically, though, it's the same place, John. Like, there's still wind and things, and
There is still wind. There's a large sea spread out between you.
Well, we're here now in the sea between. Let's just
surrounded
try and
by
Don't
wolves.
stay here for too long.
I'm not sure I understand. What does that mean? I shrug. As you say, nous sommes ici.
Okay, to speed things up a bit, because Rob's got to go in sort of half an hour. You sail on for a number of days, and the thing that's the most strangest is that at the time you would expect the sun to be rising, it does not do so. The sky remains dark, the stars overhead. As you sail across this glassy blue ocean, eventually you hear a cry from the crow's nest, someone going, "I think I can see some vessels in the distance. Wrecks, it looks like."
Broken sea ships.
What I'd like to do is, I estimate we have about 5 weeks of supplies on board. If we get to past 2 weeks, then I'm going to start slightly rationing, and the lower our stores get, the more severe I'll ration.
Yep, no problem at all. Okay.
Okay.
As you guys start getting nearer to these hooks, you can indeed see there are several sandbanks just below the water, and there must be a dozen or more of these vessels. They look as though they're hundreds of years old, worm-eaten and barnacle encrusted, jagged skeletons of vessels jutting out from just below the waterline.
Rocks or sandbars there, eh? Do not get fetched up.
Captain,
Move it in
perhaps we
range
should
and
avoid these.
take a closer look by longbow if needed, eh?
Perhaps it'd be better to go around. I don't know if...
Waste perhaps says there is no reason to visit them. When we get close enough, John, to make out any details through the spyglass, I'm going to have a look.
Okay, not a problem. As you peer through your spyglass on the nearest of the wrecks, you pick one that looks a little bit more sort of complete than the others. You can just about make out the sort of like the nameplate on the side of the ship, and it says the Mary Rose.
Is that name familiar? It sounds familiar.
Sounds really familiar.
Is it Carlotta's ship?
Nope. However, Nathaniel, as you're sort of thinking about it, didn't your son mention a ship called the Mary Rose in one of the last letters that he sent to you?
Oh no. No. We need to go on board that ship. Captain.
Have a fate point, Lloyd.
I'll take it, thanks. Captain, we need to go on board that ship. I need to know.
I love this. I love this. I need to do something, so the entire crew must do this.
One of the things that does strike you as odd, though, Nathaniel, is given the description that Pierre is giving of this thing looking like hundreds of years old, you're pretty sure that Gregory didn't sail on any ship like 100 years ago.
That is true. But at the same time, it's got his name on it. I can't ignore it. I've got to see what's going on.
So perhaps then we could come to a compromise. We will not get too close with the vessel in case the vessel gets trapped, and we can take it long in for a closer look. Huh?
One of the
you
crew
can
members
see
says,
what you need to see, and we do not need to risk the ship.
One of the crew says, do you want us to get the boat ready, quartermaster?
I give Pierre the nod if he wishes.
Right, you are, quartermaster, and they busy and they get one of these sort of long boats ready.
I'm going to continue to study this ship with a spyglass. I'll look up and down it, stem and...
Okay, as you're looking around it...
I'm looking for two things in particular. If we walk on board, is our feet going to go through the deck, that kind of thing? And
it does
is there
look
anything
quite
of value
unstable.
on board? Okay.
Not that you can see from your current position. It does look quite unstable, and the thing is absolutely like encrusted with barnacles.
Yeah.
I'm going to find one of our lightest, physically smallest crew members. You know, maybe a guy who's really good up in the crow's nest, that doesn't weigh too many pounds.
Well, strictly speaking,
make sure
the smallest of the crew would be one of the cabin boys.
That's fine. That's fine.
What would you like to call this cabin boy?
Oh, can we use the other one that we already named? We have one named. Let me just find a name for it.
I was going to say Julian.
Oh, why is he going to send quiet? That's kind of scary.
I think because Rob muted himself.
Oh, fair dues. No, I can't find a name for it, so yeah, call it whatever you want.
Okay, we'll go with Julian.
I said
then.
Julian. I suggest Julian.
We'll go with Julian, then you take Julian, one of the cabin boys, with you. And you pole this long boat out towards the wreck of the Mary Rose. As you sort of climb on board it, there's a few ominous creakings as you do so.
Just by the way, I'm staying on the ship. Just
okay.
Attends, monsieur. Julian, you are lightest and the
Yes, sir.
least likely to fall through. Proceed about, look around, but proceed with the caution, looking for the weak board. You test your steps before you walk. Do not wish you to be armed.
Right, you are, sir. And he sort of makes his way on board and starts. There's slightly less creaking as he moves amongst. He's fairly light, and he soon disappears from sight as he disappears into the wreckage.
You will. Anything to find here, you will find it, and we will find it. There's nothing wrong with being safe, huh?
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not judging. I'm being perfectly calm. I'm not running on board. It's fine.
A few minutes later, Julian sort of reappears on the edge of this wreck, and he says, "Well, there's a lot of coins in sacks below decks here, but they're all like pitted and like the wrong colour. I did find this as well, sir," he says, and he holds up what appears to be like a mouldering old book.
Give it here, child. Come on, give it here.
Oh, right you are.
Yeah.
And he passes it over to you.
I gesture for.
You can see that it has Captain's logbook written on the front cover, although it looks very old and like the leather on the cover is cracked and sort of crumbling.
What happened? I'm gonna start reading through as fast as I can. Get to the last page and see any mention of Gregory.
Okay, you flick through it. Most of the entries that you can read are fairly uninteresting accounts of nautical life. However, as you flip to the last page, you see sort of written in a slightly shakier hand, the final entry says, "Those blasted barnacles are still at my ship. We've had to stop off at a sandbank in the hope the shipwright can scrape them free. Damn things seem to be everywhere on the underside. We met another vessel yesterday, other foolish seekers of the Golden City. I would that I'd never even heard of the place, but gold is like a woman and make man's hearts foolish. I tried to warn the captain of the other vessel to turn back, but I recognized the look in his eyes and I knew it was no use. Some of my crew, including my cabin boy, Gregory, wished to go aboard his vessel since ours appeared to be damaged almost beyond repair, and I didn't want to keep them here just in case that was the case, so I bid them farewell with my blessings. The elemental gods willing, we'll soon be free of this blasted place, and if I have anything to say about it, we'll be turning for home. We'll forget that we ever heard of Della Fortuna."
Okay. That was good news and bad news. I closed the book. Gregory's not here. It's fine. Julian, you come aboard now.
Peeking over his shoulder. I just saw the word sandbar, and I pointed out to a couple of the other crew in the longboat. Like where the sandbar is. You are okay then, Nathaniel? We can go. You are satisfied?
Yes, it's fine. He's signed. He got on another boat. There'll be another boat there at Della Fortuna that we can take. We just need to make sure we don't get any more barnacles and stuck here. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the ship, but it seems to have been here way longer than it should have been. Which is, what happened? Either way, can we please get Julian to get on board and let's go?
Julian obviously jumps into the
ship.
Yeah.
Oui. Yep.
Okay.
So on our way back, I got where the sandbars are and stuff like that, and then send information to the sailing master so we can avoid it.
Okay, just as you're climbing back on board the High Wind, just a few minutes before they get back, Captain Howe still on board the deck. You see that a number of sailors appear to have gathered around the back of the ship in sort of like a little bit of a mob, and there's several sort of like sounds of confusion coming from them.
I'll make my way to the back. What is it, men? What the hell's going on?
You see the man at the back, and you may or may not be aware of this, Matthew, but the way they used to measure the speed of vessels is they had a large block of wood that had a knotted rope tied to it. They would let that line play out behind the ship, count how long it took for the knots to play out, and that's why they would call it speeds at so many knots.
Yeah.
As you get to the back of the ship, you can see that they've hauled it in, obviously, to take a reading, and they appear to be peering at it confusedly. And as the sailor has reeled it in, so pulls up this wooden wedge that's at the end of it, you can see that this wooden wedge is absolutely like covered in these barnacles. And they look at you, and you see like bits of the wood are literally like sort of falling away from this wedge as though it's like rotting away or been eaten away by these barnacles. One of them looks at you and goes, "I've never seen anything like it, Captain."
All right, I'm just going to point you to right. You and you on the side of the ship. Check the hull. Are we checking on barnacles?
Okay, so as Nathaniel and Pierre get back on board with the crew that they took with them, you hear Captain Howe say, check the ship for barnacles. And as the crew immediately start jumping to do that, there is an ominous
No.
And as Nathaniel goes, no, that is where we will end the session for this evening. as this ominous creaking sound fills your ears. Thank you very much for playing, gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the session this evening.
Absolutely.
And I'm quite happy to chat for a bit afterwards. But for now, I'm going to just say thank you again to my players and to anyone who's watching this. We'll hopefully see you for the next episode of Storm and Sail.
Thank you very much.